Hello, I am doing my book talk reports on the book Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It is a genre kind of more of a fantasy and dystopia type thing, and it kind of takes place in 2048, and the main character is named Wade Watts, and it revolves around him and how he doesn't live in a whole fantasy type great world in the future. It's kind of an energy crisis, and nothing's really going well. And the whole point of the book is that it's kind of, there's this guy named James Halliday, and he creates this game online that's kind of this utopia of gaming wise, and you have to put on all this suit, you have to do all this kind of stuff to join the game, and he's being a poor and not having the real world is too hard for him. He kind of goes to this his entire life because his mother showed it to him before she died in a car accident. So he kind of lives in this weird geeky type world his entire life, and the entire book revolves around when Halliday dies. He kind of leaves a message saying whoever finds my secret in the game gets all the money, and they call it the race, and the whole book is around that and the entire race and how to get the money and how to win and own the game. Like I said before, the protagonist is Wade Watts, and he's a 17-year-old kid living in Oklahoma. His other, I would say, supporting characters, like his friends, would be Ake, Artemis, and Dodo and Shoto, which were other characters he meets in the game, which are real-life people that he meets later in the real world, because it's kind of the most setting of the book is basically real world and a game, so it's kind of coincides with each other because he switches from real to game a lot, and really it's kind of a mix between the two, genre-wise as well, because you kind of get a nice utopian feel with the game feeling setting, but then you get a dystopia with the real world. And with that, I really like that book because it kind of gives me a sense of it's excitement really when you're reading it. So overall rating, I would actually give it a 10 out of 10. And anything really similar to it would be Maze Runner by, I don't really remember the author, but why I chose Maze Runner is similar to it because they both have different terminology that you would have to know. And from the beginning of the book in both novels, you don't really know any of the terms and any of the words that they're using. So reading more and learning about all this new terminology and all the stuff that they're using, all the words and all the names and weird stuff, then you get to know. So I think they both kind of match because they're both kind of like that, and I both didn't really know in the beginning. For a cool quote from the book, I chose, I am nor a god or a hero, I just want to save the world from destruction. It's just from Wade, what he said, because he's basically just doesn't want to really win the money, he just wants to not get another people that will ruin his game, because he kind of lives in it, it's his life. He doesn't want to get people that would ruin it to destroy the game. So if he saves it, then his life will be saved, and the other people in the game will be happy, because it kind of it's overall worldwide global thing. So he's trying to the entire time he doesn't really want the money as much. He just wants to save. In the beginning he did, but now at the end he kind of realized that he doesn't really want the money. He just wants to save what he's been living through his entire life. And I can kind of really connect to that kind of thing, because in the entire book, it's both basically just trying to save something that he likes and kind of what he's living in, with a more nerdy and geeky type feel, and not being as myself. And it really connects to that of the geek world, the entire thing, because it has a lot of 80s pop culture and music and video game references in the entire book, because that's where Halliday grew up. So it has this entire listing of his life and how he lived it and stuff, and he had a journal that every player in the game reads and stuff, and so they know all his life. So all the culture in the book is kind of all geeky and nerdy, and that's what I can really relate to, because that's kind of what I read now, and that's kind of what I like. So I thought it really matched like how Ernest Cline really wrote it. And another book by Ernest Cline was Armada, which he'd never had any book. This was his first book, which came out 2 years ago. But Armada just came out in May, I'm assuming. May, which was like a month ago. So that's a new book that I have not read, but when I was reading the summary, it was mostly all of geeky and nerdy type feel, so it's the same feel as Ready Player One. And really why I like this book is because the book is more of a geeky and nerdy type genre thing, and how it switches between a bad and good type player setting, that I really like the excitement through the entire thing. And my overall reaction from the beginning to the book to the end is still a 10 out of 10, and it is my favorite book by far. And I would recommend this book to any really teenager that likes more geeky type feel books or nerd type feel. And that's all.